To check out the entire show, hit the link at the bottom of the screen, available exclusively on odds.com. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 11-5, 6-2 on the road to the Washington Football Club, 7-9, 3-5 at home. FedEx Field, Landover, Maryland, 32 Fahrenheit, clear, 7 miles per hour, cold in D.C. on Saturday night. We'll start with the Buccaneers, but let's take a look at the market here. Still on first half, so let's move over to full game. We have the Bucs open up as 9.5-point favorites at plus money. That's now 8. There are some 8.5s out there. Washington, Tampa Bay total opened up at 46.5. That's been bet down to 45, and now 44.5. Buccaneers broke their franchise record with 492 points this year. Brady completed 65.7% of his passes for 4. Wow, look at that crazy. Sorry, but Dennis and gas station caught my attention, so I stopped in the middle of everything. Gas saying underdogs on Wildcard Weekend have had a decided point spread advantage over the past 25 years. Brady, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He threw for 1,067 yards and 10 touchdowns over the last 8 quarters he played. Now, Mike Evans' status for Tampa's first playoff game in 13 years is uncertain. His left knee injury doesn't look like it's that serious. They're referring to it as a hyperextension. But he hurt himself. He hurt himself right after he became the first player in NFL history to begin a career with 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Coach Arians said the MRI showed no structural damage. Star receivers day-to-day. Antonio Brown had a season-high 11 receptions for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin had 5 catches for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brady threw for 399 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, he's just rolling. Scotty Miller, Gronk, Cameron Brate. You got Ronald Jones running for 978 yards and 7 touchdowns in 14 games. This is an offense with a ton of weapons, and I think they can withstand the Mike Evans injury. Tampa Bay finished the league with the best run defense in the NFL, but their secondary looks susceptible at times. Arians says Carlton Davis' groin injury will be ready to play Saturday after missing the last 2 games. But the big issue here is their star linebacker, White. He led the team with 140 tackles, was second on the team with 9 sacks, and he will not be in the lineup. He has tested positive for COVID, so he has to be out for 10 days. And I guess he tested positive on the Thursday. So if the game was played on Sunday, he might be able to play, but it's a Saturday game. He's out. So backup nose tackle Steve McClendon and linebacker Shaquille Barrett are on the COVID list as well, but Arians expects them to play, which means they haven't tested positive. Jason Pierre-Paul is listed as questionable, but is expected to play. These Buccaneers, let's start there. At this big of a favorite, Bebsie, do they interest you at all?
To be honest with you, look, the Bucs have been clicking as of late. Brady's been on fire with his gigantic arsenal of weapons. But look, Mike Evans, that's a big injury. And maybe a bigger injury is Devin White. So this is a really tough spot for them, especially because the Bucs have not been good in primetime this year. So for that reason, I can't bet them. For me, it's Washington or nothing in this one. My problem with Washington, though, is how do you get yourself up after that Week 17 win? Because everybody knows that it was a garbage win. Everybody knows that, it looked like they were going to lose that game until Doug Peterson was like, no, we're not screwing this up. But this is a really tough spot for both teams. So, look, Brady throughout his career has struggled against, upfront pressure. I mean, in the middle. He's not so bad at guys coming off the edge because he's so good at getting the ball out quickly. And Daron Payne and John Allen are great in the middle, but they're more run stuffers and space eaters than they are pass rushers. Their pass rushers obviously come off the edge. So as good as this Washington front seven is, they aren't built to stop Brady. I know that Chase Young said, I'm coming at you. And look, Chase Young is going to be a problem, and he's going to be tough to stop. But I do think this is too many points. For me, it's Washington or nothing. But I don't know if I have a lean here.
I agree it's Washington or nothing, and I would like to bet Washington. But I also think that money's going to keep coming in on Tampa. Depending on where you shop, like Bet365 opened this at 7.5. It's now at 8.5. The betting public loves Brady.
The betting public does love Brady, and rightfully so. I mean, the guy's obviously had a pretty solid career. I as I just said, it is a very tough game for Washington to get up after that win, after the way they won that game. Because you can't feel good about that win if you're Washington. As much as you got to feel good about being in the playoffs, you got to feel good about the Alex Smith story, the Ron Rivera story, all this positive energy. That's a hard thing to shake. That you won that game because the other team threw it.
But they were winning. They were winning when that happened. I don't fully agree with you on this. I don't. Who cares for the Washington? They don't. I don't think they care how they won Week 17. The Giants fans care how they won Week 17, not the Washington.
Giants fans can fuck off. You're 6-10. Like,
no, I agree.
You don't have a right to complain. You're 6-10. You don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Don't act like Philly screwed you. You screwed you. You won 6 games out of 16. You're not a playoff team. Shut up. My problem is Washington knows that they probably should have lost that game.
Yeah, I don't agree with that take. I don't. Who cares? They got in. Now they face the Buccaneers and they can shock the world. I mean, there's a lot to be focused on here. I want to wait. I'm going to sit back and wait. I think that a 9 could be around. Bebsie, this total is going down fast. Dennis Garcia got it at 46.5. It's at 45 right now. Are you interested in this total at all, Bebsie?
I'm not interested in it. If you gave me a free play, I'd go under, based solely on the way that the Bucs have played in prime time, and the fact that Washington is not going to put up a ton of points. If Washington were to upset the Bucs and win this game, that's going to be a very low score. So. Yeah. But, I mean, again, they have been a functional offense under Alex Smith because they do have weapons. Logan Thomas has emerged as a very solid go-to tight end. Gibson has had a great season. And obviously Terry McLaurin is a fantastic wide receiver. So if they're healthy offensively, then, yeah, they're functional.
I think 45 is enough for me.
Is it enough to take the under?
Yeah. Tell me, talk to me about why you don't want the under right now. And I know that you take it as a free bet, so I know you're leaning towards it. But why? What's keeping you off betting it?
The only thing that's keeping me off betting this game is the simple fact that if Washington doesn't show up, then Tom Brady and this incredible myriad of weapons will just eviscerate them. That's my problem.
Do you think Washington's secondary can slow down Brady?
Look, the fact of the matter is Brady's going to have to get the ball out quick, which he is more than capable of doing. It's less about it's got to be a short area passing game. And that makes me question the Bucs game plan because we know Arians likes to air the ball out. But the problem is you're not going to have a ton of time to let these guys get downfield.
I am going to move on the under. And Yo the Great saying, don't do it. But I'm going to move on the under right now, 45. And I want Washington, but I want more points. So I'm going to wait. Yo the Great says Bucks smoked way better teams at the end of the season. This is the playoffs. Bucks big time. I that's what I want the betting public to feel. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but
if this goes up, if the line moves up, I'm going to take Washington to cover.
And I will keep a very close eye on it and stay in contact with you throughout. David Sharp says, when you can send a pass rush of 4, Tom ain't putting up those points. Sack him one time in the first quarter, he starts to have meltdown. Nate Dogg says, Brady, playoffs equals W. This is going to be fun. You know, Wildcard Week is one of the greatest days of the year. Okay. There we go. Brady says you have to take
just with regards to what Nate Dogg is saying, and this isn't me taking a free shot at Brady, but in recent years in the playoffs, with the exception of a couple of games, Tom Brady hasn't had to do much in the playoffs. So, yeah, Tom Brady wins. That's not a secret, but let's not pretend that his defenses have not helped him out a great deal. So Tampa's defense has to show up in this game. And without White, that is problematic. He's the nucleus of that defense. He's a sideline-to-sideline linebacker who's phenomenal in coverage. So that is, if White is out and Evans is out, those are 2 monster injuries to overcome.
I love it. Sorry, I didn't mean to highlight that. The Nilo was joking. Okay, I didn't mean to highlight that. Sorry.